who can hear my audio, please give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me. Broadcasting from my mobile device. 16 likes already. I haven't said anything. It's a good start. I appreciate the likes. So let's get the live message up here. So all of them. Welcome to all of you. Let's start in on the news straight off the bat here on this Friday, as the ceasefire is tenuous at best, but it appears that Israel will now go to the negotiation table with Lebanon. That's a good sign. That takes away the lame excuse that Iran has about violating the ceasefire, which wasn't related to Lebanon. But let me talk about the news. We'll start with news in Central or Eastern Europe. Hungary, where Viktor Orban has been in charge of that country for 16 years, goes to the polls this Sunday. The most reliable, purportedly, polling center in Hungary, Median, predicts a 2/3 majority for the opposition party TISA in parliament. That's pretty amazing. Now, as I said, the vote is on Sunday. Does that mean this is the end of Orban after 16 years in power? I don't know. There's a lot of undecided voters, so we have to wait and see. But according to their predictions, TISA could get 138 to 143 of the 199 seats in parliament. That's a shockingly large number. If only the Republicans could do that in the Senate and House, life would be so much better in America. Yeah, there's still plenty of undecided voters, so don't be surprised by an outcome that doesn't match their polls, because a lot of undecided voters could swing this for Orban this weekend. We'll see. We turn our attention to the Celtic Anglo-Saxon Caliphate. The Celtic Anglo-Saxon Caliphate, located and formerly known as the British Isles, where Sir Keir Starmer complains and compares Donald Trump to Vladimir Putin. Yep. The leader of the Celtic Anglo-Saxon Caliphate Alliance said he's fed up with the effects of Trump's actions in the Middle East. He said the effect that it's having on British public life. Yet he had nothing to say about the previous rise in prices, if we go back just a couple years ago, which were unrelated to a conflict launched by the United States. When Trump left office in 2021, oil was trading at $52.52 a barrel. Yeah, $52.52 when he left office. Under Joe Biden, the next day it began to rise until it reached a peak of $120.43 a barrel. So oil rose during Biden's crooked regime by $72 a barrel. More than 100%, about 125%. Yet where was Sir Keir of the Islamic Caliphate in the United Kingdom complaining about the prices then? He was in office. He wasn't complaining about the price of oil then. Yeah. When Trump returned to office, the price of oil was $75.64 in 2025. It dipped as low as $56.30 on December 15th. Oil is now trading at $90+ a barrel. It did go up to 120 briefly in futures, but it's back to 90-some dollars a barrel. Therefore, oil has risen a mere $17 a barrel, or say $20 a barrel, since Trump became president. Yet we must have protests in Ireland. Sir Keir, head of the Celtic Anglo-Saxon Caliphate, has to publicly try to attack Trump. But you see, this is a consequence of conflict. It makes sense. But the Straits of Hormuz, the oil to Europe, to Japan, to South Korea, to China, wasn't disrupted when Joe Biden's unicorns and rainbow fairy tales of green energy — there's no such thing as green energy. Every source of energy creates pollution. But when Joe Biden's green energy unicorns, fairy tales, and rainbows drove the price of oil from $52 a barrel to $120 a barrel, there were no demonstrations. There were no complaints from these leftist hate wankers like Sir Keir, the head of the caliphate. None of them said anything. None of them said anything. They didn't complain when people suffered. They didn't complain when our petrol prices climbed to $6 a gallon here in America. No complaints from the left. No complaints from Sir Keir or the caliphate in London. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. But now, when oil goes up a mere $20 a barrel, the world is collapsing. Now, the world is collapsing because you're not getting oil that you need. You're not getting oil that you need because you are reticent to do your job because you're a bunch of pantywades. The European Union is culpable here. The European Union has done nothing to ensure that it had energy. It's left that to the United States' good graces. And the fact that Europe is not getting energy now is just sweets. Ireland's petrol stations running out of diesel and petrol. Yep, it's happening all over Europe. So, apparently Sir Keir is okay with high prices if it's in pursuit of unicorns and rainbows, for green energy, which doesn't exist, but not when we are preventing nuclear Armageddon. So the mere $20 increase in the price of a barrel of oil to prevent nuclear Armageddon is a price too high for Sir Keir and his caliphate. Well, perhaps you should do more exploration in the North Sea there, Sir Keir. Pakistan's defense minister spewed racial hatred and anti-Semitic bile, saying Israel is cancerous. Now, Khawaja Asif said Israel is evil and a curse for humanity. Really? I would say that we probably say the same thing about Pakistan in many respects. He said, I hope and pray that people who created this cancerous state on Palestinian land to get rid of European Jews burn in hell. He said, I hope and pray that the people who created the cancerous state on Palestinian land to get rid of European Jews to burn in hell. Never mind how difficult that is to say in English because it's not grammatically correct. This anti-Semitic Jewish hatred coming from a vile, repulsive Pakistani should be called out for what it is. The Prime Minister of Pakistan or the President of Pakistan should fire this idiot immediately. He should be expelled from his party for his racist hatred. But nothing will happen to Khawaja Asif because it is the sentiment of many Jew haters around the world. Yes, that's what should happen. Meanwhile, terrorist-loving Muhammad Khalil, who used to lecture at American University here, has lost his final appeal. A final order of removal was issued yesterday, and this terror-loving pro-terrorist group for Hamas lecture in the United States, taking advantage of our good graces and our hospitality while spitting on our sovereignty and incentivizing violence on university campuses, should be deported today. No delay, deport him today. And if his wife and his newborn child want to join him, they're welcome to join him wherever he's being deported. Wherever he's being deported. Well, apparently emperor penguins, owing to ice sheet breaks in the Antarctic, are in trouble. Emperor penguins have now been put at risk, listed as at risk of extinction because their chicks died in mass. That's not good. We already have jackass penguins in South Africa that are at risk of extinction as well, threatened. Ecuador has hiked tariffs in neighboring Colombia to 100%. This is after a 30% tariff earlier last year, then a 50% tariff imposed in March, and now a 100% tariff imposed by Ecuador on Colombia. But when the United States imposes tariffs on countries that support the drug trade, like Colombia, we're wrong. But Ecuador can do it for 100%. Interesting. Ireland has called out the army to suppress protest, using the Irish army to suppress the Irish protesters. The port of Limerick and the oil refinery in Cork at a standstill on the fourth day of protest against energy prices. Again, these protesters didn't come out when the price of petrol was significantly higher than it is today back in 2022. No, they didn't, because the leftists ran the world. And it doesn't matter how much we suffer when leftists run the world, they will suppress any demonstration. This is largely grassroots and leaderless, it appears. And also, central Dublin has been blocked. O'Connell Street, no one can get through. But Ireland is running out of diesel and petrol. And they'll soon be out. And people will be stuck, unable to travel. Interesting story here, unrelated to the news, but a news story nonetheless, is for a long time, anthropologists were puzzled about why complex Neolithic tombs construction had stopped in Europe, Northern Europe in particular, in the Celtic lands and in Scandinavia. Why did these complex Neolithic structures like Maze Howe in the Orkneys, why did they suddenly stop? Well, they suddenly stopped near the end of the 4th millennium before Christ, BC. None of that before Common Era nonsense. We're not woke here. Before Christ. This was owing to a massive population crash, which has not been identified, whether it was nutrition or disease or anything yet. But the massive population crash led to those people largely disappearing and being replaced by immigrants who came in from Southern Europe and the Eurasian steppe. They came with different customs, different culinary approaches, and different views on death in the afterlife. They used these facilities for a long time after the original cultures that built them abandoned them or died off. But I think it's fascinating. Oh, Keir Starmer has been Sir Keir Starmer for a long time. All right, and that's pretty much the news for today. Other than I made a video a short while ago about how the relations between South Africa and the United States, contrary to Peter Bruce and Cyril Ramaphosa, are not improving. He can say it all he wants, but the truth of the matter is it's simply not improving. That's a fairy tale. So I'll talk more about that later on. So we don't have rugby this weekend. That's interesting. So I'll be able to get some work done, hopefully answer a bunch of emails that have been coming in and address a number of concerns for people. I hope that happens this weekend. All right, I'm just now getting into the chat. Let's see if I missed anything. Just people saying hi, people saying hello to each other. That's good. 230 people currently here, significantly lower than yesterday. Obviously, they've caught on that I'm here and they're catching my IP address. Exchange with Ruben, you really do care about everyone. Well, yes, Kathy, I do. Thank you. I do try. You know, and people watch my videos in which I criticize people's behavior, but it's because they're making mistakes and it's not helping the process. So that doesn't mean I don't support or endorse where they're coming from. Like the Irish, I appreciate their umbrage and outrage about paying so much for petrol. But it would have been nice to see their outrage in demonstrations when the prices were much higher than they are today when Biden was in office. And not because of a war, but because of Biden's stupid policies. Evidence all the world of highly sophisticated ancient culture that basically worked magic with stone. Then, yes, something happened and their knowledge was lost. Yep, it was. Yep, true. All right, sounds like a lot of people liked Ruben appearing on the program. So he took a risk, personal risk, but he wanted to do it. Average of the South African white population has increased age from 33 to 45. Yeah, you're losing the youth because people aren't having kids. Enough for Con Starmer or Lord's spell in reverse. Huh? Do you think the war is creating that mob mentality with Ireland? I think the mob mentality in Ireland is coming because of the invasion. 25% of the people living in Ireland are not Irish and they're not citizens. And most of them have no business being there. They've invaded Ireland and they have turned Dublin into a shithole. Thank you for the 14 rand there, Carlene. Sorry for the language, but they've turned Dublin into a cesspool and they've overrun Irish cities. They've assaulted the Irish. They've caused chaos in the streets. Yeah, the tests are coming. I'm looking forward to the test in June, July. So, yep. Then we've got the All Blacks tour. I'm looking forward to that too. What's up about Carl? Okay, thank you. Are you not up to date with global news affairs? I'm specifically speaking about the crazy and disastrous way Trump is behaving and running the White House. Welcome, Mr. Troll. Live in peace. Am I not up to date? Are you just silly? Are you just being an ass? Am I not up to date with the news? Mods, watch the troll. Live in peace. You know, yeah, go live in your head. UK should have maybe kept drilling North Sea instead of focusing on green energy. Exactly. Yep, Jean recently moved to the UK, so kind of understand it. First time watching. Thank you, James. Welcome to the program. Send us a boat, Colonel. We'll come over. Well, maybe I'll send you the Disney Cruise Lines. We got Carnival and Disney have plenty of ships they can send to South Africa. Yeah, live in peace. I am aware of global events. Obviously, you're ignorant of it, and you want to come in here and troll. Do you have a genuine question, or you just want to be a clown? If you got a genuine question, ask your genuine question, all right, about world events. Do I not know about world events? You are comical. You asked this of a university lecturer, a published author, a historian, and a political scientist. Obviously, you don't know who I am or what I'm all about. I don't know who sent you here and how you waited the whole 20 minutes to get your chance to comment. But if you got a real comment, let's have it. Otherwise, you know, you're not contributing to the conversation. There's no more chat coming in. Are we still going? Anyway, yeah, so what did Neff say? Vander says, don't have to thank you for all your care and help. You're welcome. What's striking about the ancient stonework is that whomever they appear to have traveled the world, as there are similarities from South America, Malta, and Japan. Perhaps. Anyway, James Vermeulen, welcome to you. Yep. Dwayne Vermeulen, one of my favorite rugby players for a long time. And Carlene, thank you for that super sticker for 14 rand. I appreciate it. Do you think, okay, I already answered that question. Okay. Yeah, the average age of Afrikaners is increasing, that's for sure. Ruben was awesome. Maybe someone from USCIS was watching. Well, I hope so. I shared the link with people in the government. The group remove it, and Islamic governments engaged in tactics that parallel themes in Mein Kampf by promoting extremism and nativism. Well, that's hard to argue with, Sonia. The reason why most of us are here is because you know world events. Exactly, Mark Myberg. Thank you so much. And to see the guy come in and ask that question. Again, if you've got a real question, buddy, we're here for it. I'll address your question. But I don't get people why they do that. I mean, why would you do that? What, do you get some sort of cathartic release? Do the endorphins surge through your body when you interrupt and disrupt instead of asking legitimate questions? I mean, honestly, I think it's a fair question on my part. I mean, what's your objective here? Gosh, the sun is getting bright. Yeah, my face been getting fried. I saw little wrinkles here. My eyes were squinting the other day. Flushing, what's going on in the UK, man? How's the 15-minute city of Oxford? Is it still challenging for a Welshman? Yeah. I need to get back to the UK, folks. Missed seeing the Right Reverend Rawhide just by a few minutes when I was out his way on one of these trips. But I went to the UK last year for the Women's World Cup, and it was brilliant. Pricey, but brilliant. So I got to get back over there. I need to get together with Hendo. I haven't seen Hendo in a long time. I'll make sure there's not an imposter using Hendo's account. Obama negotiated and terrorists threatened. Biden negotiated terrorist bomb. President Trump started bombing terrorists. Started negotiating. Yep. Henry Swanepoel says very late. No, that's quite all right. We've only been on for 16 minutes. Gosh bless it. My son is killing me here. I have a different question. If you love animals but don't have experience or qualifications, do you need to obtain qualifications to care for animals in need? Well, I don't know what you mean by that, Debbie, to care for animals in need. In order to be a veterinarian, you have to have qualifications. You have to be licensed. You have to go through a process for that. I'm trying to find a spot that's less in the sun here, so I'm not getting fried so badly. But what do you mean care? I mean, if you just, if you want to raise animals and take care of them, there's no qualifications requirement for that, to my knowledge. Getting worse, we have to have permits to use 2 roads now as locals. That's crazy. As soon as it's over, I see a whack of people are being asked to go back and redo interviews. What is a whack of people, Neff? What do you mean by that? Disrupting people have too low an IQ and too high self-esteem. Yeah, that's true. Oh, you love the view. Thank you, Loretta. Yeah, it's a big tree. That tree has been around for a long time. The base of that thing is, here, let me go stand by it and you'll see. It'll take about 4 sets of arms to get around the trunk of that tree at my level. That thing is massive. It's been there for decades, and the other trees around here are all pretty old. Unfortunately, here on the base, they go through this period where they cut trees down, and they cut down a lot of beautiful trees on the road coming in a few years ago. It really irritated the hell out of me. You can also see back here that pretty one there, those colors on there. That's quite beautiful. Those bloom. And then there's white blooms over here in another tree. Yeah, all the trees are blooming now because it's spring. Okay. 1 to 4% of the population has sociopathic tendencies. Yeah, well, I'm not surprised by that. Henry needs a bit of tender loving care. He's been working like a Trojan behind the horses by the scenes. Was running around to find rental property. My house is sold. Okay, Henry. All right, well, congratulations on selling your house. If you are a refugee aspirant, I hope that you don't have to wait too long so you don't eat through your resources. Yeah, the Orion crew must be sweating bullets. We've now they're focusing on the fact that Orion 1 mission, the heat shield failed in several spots, and I don't know that they've came up with a solution. I hope they did. Hope we don't put lives at risk by sending them up when we have defective heat shield. Remember, that's what took the Challenger. So watching the channel's Colonel Scan before the Refugee program, we enjoy hearing unbiased news. Thank you for that. Gorgeous view seeing you and Outlook. Yeah, we'll know when Hendo types in lowercase letters. It's not Hendo, it's an imposter. It's good. I thought that tree was far away. Now it's right behind me. It's right behind me. It's only about 2 meters from where I'm sitting. But it is massive, huge. And all the dead stuff is falling off of it. Here, let me see if I can show you above there. Yeah. So here on the ground is littered with sticks and twigs and branches that broke off of that tree that have died. Man, the sun just keeps coming. It gets brutal out here. Yeah, so I get fried, get burned here badly. Just checking into light. Well, thank you, Arc Precision. Appreciate that. That is a big tree. Oh no, a tree hugger. Daddy's sarcastic. Yes, I'm a tree hugger. So excited to be in the USA. I went to it's my favorite country by far. Thank you, Varen. Does that mean you're here now? Excuse me. Yeah, it'll be turned into charcoal very quickly if it was in Africa. I got, guys, that I'm going to get fried. I got to turn around. That's too much. Oof. I'm going to wind up with really bad sunburn if I sit over there. I've got to come around this way and get that to my back. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, but I just disrupting, but that's going to be brutal, my face. What's that? The Liberal Democrats and Greens from the county are killing the city. Yep. Suddenly the tree looks a lot bigger. You look like a dwarf compared to the tree. Yeah, it was. Look like a branch close to my head. No. That is a massive tree. And it leans right over the creek. Well, your daily dose, Heidi. Good. Perspective is everything. Didn't realize the tree was so massive. Bastard Bozell handed his credentials around Pose and Durko, choked on their tea. That's right, Mark. Nice braai wood tree. No, that's not for a braai. No, they removed those trees, Neff. They didn't trim them. They cut a whole bunch of trees down on there used to be beautiful trees lining the route into the. It's a small base. It's not very big. And they cut a couple years ago. They cut them all down. It was hideous looking. But they've planted new ones since then. Still working since then. Okay. Almost a jacaranda in the background. Oh, you mean that pink one? Yeah. It kind of looks like a jacaranda, but it's not a jacaranda. It's lovely purplish. It's a tree. I don't know which one that is. Honestly, I don't know. I should know. I used to know my trees very well. And somebody just gave a super sticker. Joey, thank you. Thank you for 35 Rand. Cool beans. Oh, no, it does look like a jacaranda bit. Wasn't aware of this, but there is a flash disc going around with Artemis and 5 million people's names on it, virtually making a trio. Oh, I didn't know that. My information was in the James Webb Space. They had something, put your names on there to be part of it. Space flight is like golf. Most dangerous part is always the last bit. Yeah. Problem I heard with the heat shield is that there's no way of testing it until they re-enter the atmosphere. Well, that's kind of bad. That's kind of bad, Fundamentals. Yeah. How would you like to be the guinea pig on that flight? Yeah. Okay. If this, I'd be like, if Artemis 2 is successful, I'll go with Artemis 3. But I'm not going on 2. Thank you for your service. Could you expand a bit on concerns related to Church World Service or conducting US people in their interviews? No. I don't believe there's risk there. My issue is that the reason I made that video wasn't because of the actions of Church World Service's RSC in South Africa. It wasn't because of the treatment the refugees got in Rochester. It wasn't because of the good treatment they got in Tampa. My reason for making the video asking for the government to investigate Church World Service is that Church World Service is actively undermining the refugee program. They're spewing racial hatred, bigotry, and bile against South African refugees because they're bum hurt that the $189 million a year that they were sucking out of the taxpayer is all but evaporated. The amount of money they're getting now is demonstrably less. And so this is the problem. And so they throw their toys out of the pram and write vile things and file lawsuits against the administration, which have no basis whatsoever, and gum up the works. And I don't think an organization like that has any business taking care of refugees when it's all about their own self-interest. Their CEO makes $300,000 a year. It's disgusting. And they have refugees living in cockroach-infested places. They have refugees who missed matching grant money, who didn't get food stamps. They have refugees being told that they're from Afghanistan so they can eat dog when they ask about halal meat. That is not acceptable for an organization like that with such low leadership, such low oversight of its organization, and then it actively undermines the Trump administration. All they care about is money and flooding this country of people who are culturally diametrically opposed to the culture of this country, the majority culture, and they try to bifurcate this country and profit off of it. No, I think the Church World Service needs to be investigated. That's the problem I have. Hip is fine. You're going to climb that tree? Well, actually you could, because it's tilted an angle like this. So you could climb, you could shimmy up that thing, yeah, pretty easily. Just wrap your legs around it. And the bark is a bark that's not slick, so you could, you could climb that tree. Once you get up to the V, there's a V up there. Once you get to the V, you can go either direction. It's pretty cool. No, I don't have time to braai. Cheryl uses avocado for the heat shield. Yeah, I saw that. Exactly. Come fry in Feldriff. Hey, Petra, how's it going? Ian Moon, what's going on, man? By the way, people think that I don't watch the comments after I end my streams, but I did watch the comments, and people came on the comments in my stream earlier in my conversation with Ruben, like, oh, yeah, watch this now. Now Ruben's had an interview with the Colonel. He'll be out of here shortly. I saw that. When people do ugly things to you, it means you're doing something right. You're probably right. I got to go, Chris, and chat. Have a good weekend. All right, take care, Jean-Luc Gibson. I dare you to climb that tree, show us your military skills. Well, Carl, I'm missing a hip. You seem to have forgotten that. It's not going to be working very well. As a normal person out there, are people allowed to go see an Army base? No, you have to have an ID card to enter a military installation. You have to be an authorized user or visitor. They have visitor centers. You can sign into many of the bases and get approval to come out because some of them have museums. Yeah, you can do that. You can be a visitor. You can visit family. It used to be for a long time, if you were the ID card holder, you went through the gate, only you had to show your ID, but then sometimes they up the security level, and like right now, and everybody has to have a valid ID, and they have a scanner. They read the barcode off the back of it and scan it, and then you're authorized. So you just can't come on installation. But you can, many places I said, as a visitor go on. So yeah, but I have access to every military installation in the world with my ID card and my status as a retired list officer. So if you've covered it, but will the Kenyan church be replaced to assist? We have no idea, Lizette. We don't know anything about RSC, if they're going to be replaced or not. I don't know if there's anything to do. Anna Kruger, welcome. Dawn and I stopped at a petrol station. A black man screamed at us in his language, but the hate in his eyes, I was so scared we never put petrol in the car. We drove off. Well, see, Anna, they don't try that with me. Black, white, brown, it doesn't matter. People don't try that with me because they'll get that boer death stare, and they know they're going to get moored. So I understand where you're coming from. Ian Moon, okay, thank you for the message. Hey, Renell, my blood pressure rises instantly when I see people cutting down trees. Yep. Well, sometimes trees have to be cut down. They're diseased, or they're obstructing things. But you don't just cut all the trees down. Once Britain was defeated against Ivan the Boneless 1,500 years ago. Okay, it wasn't really Britain then. Okay, so sorry that you experienced that. Oh, I experienced lots of bad things. Me and my brother's girlfriend and their baby of 2 years all have been scheduled pre-screening, all submitted documents, and we watch your channel religiously every day. Well, thank you, that Bling Note. I appreciate that. Anna Kruger, you're welcome. You should find out. I'll remind people of home. Huh? Our names are on Clipper on the way to Europa. There you go. That's cool, Garrett. Cool. My wife calls you the beard of truth. SpaceX has been ferrying people to the space station for almost a decade now. They have the heat shield sorted, maybe NASA. Well, I don't know if they have the heat shield sorted because it's a different capsule. They have the concept of heat shield, but they'd have to test it on the Orion capsule, which is very different. Texas economy is cooking. Dallas is starting its own stock exchange. I didn't know that. That's interesting, Broken Arrow, starting its own stock exchange. That is fascinating. Makes sense with all the companies that are headquartered down there. Lana Roots, so sorry to hear about your experience. Okay. Britain has collapsed. No hope left, or even for most of Europe. Glad you're okay. Be very vigilant and careful. Nowhere in South Africa is safe. Okay. We did our Social Security application today. Can't praise the administration enough. Super friendly and helpful. We were in and out in 15 minutes. Did online application appointment, so that helped a lot. Well, congratulations, Neff. Thank you for the $10 super chat, by the way. That really bumped up the numbers for this stream. I want to make America even greater. Well, cool. We all do. Sally, welcome. Melanie Sherrard, 70 rands, thank you. First super chat, very kind of you, appreciate it. Used to cut down trees for a huge bribe fire. Okay. Maybe there's an active agenda to undermine the program from within. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, okay, wait. I should correct that. You said CWS. I'm just talking about RSC. There may be very well be an active. There's not just an active, it's an obvious, blatant attempt to undermine the program. Okay, so I'm going to make another video. I've got to upload a video when I get done, but I got to make another one about, I've talked about this before, but I've had enough of it, so I'm going to talk about it again. I'm so irritated. Like the BBC ran an article that said 4,499 refugees came to America since October, and only 3 of them weren't South African. And they start talking about the white program. Where were you people complaining when we were forced to take 300,000 Ukrainians we didn't want in this country, when you dumped them in our neighborhoods? You didn't have anything to say about that. They're white. Was that a racist program by the Biden administration to bring all those white people here? Do you maybe have any idea how people are being selected for the program? They're being selected based on being qualified. What order they're going out on, I have no idea. The government is not forthcoming. Ramaphosa, Europe must pay reparation. Yeah, he said that a few days ago. Ramaphosa needs to shut up. He's going to probably wind up being prosecuted for supporting terrorist organizations through MTM and their Iran cell connection. Yeah, he probably should just be very, very quiet. Be like Joseph Malema and be quiet for a little while. Yeah, South Africa barely had slavery, and the slavery wasn't the Atlantic slave trade. And virtually no people from what is today South Africa were sent anywhere as slaves. People were brought in because they couldn't get slaves in South Africa, brought in from Indonesia. by the Dutch East India Company. So he should just shut up. No one owes him reparations because he's black. The man's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It was just given to him in a scam. He didn't earn anything. Hello. I can't read some of these names. It's just so bright out here. Sharon Gosselin, thank you for the 35 Rand super sticker. That's your 5th super sticker. Thank you on Alive. You know, if there's anyone we can talk to there, since with help regarding things we went through here that bother us, keep us up at night. I have no idea what you're asking, Red. What are you asking? Where's there and where's here? Are you asking if there's someone that when you get to America can help you with your PTSD? Yeah, you can talk to counselors here. That's one of the services that are made available. We have that because a lot of people come from war zones. They have lots of trauma. Live has become a dinner time ritual. Well, that's cool. Enjoy your dinner and thanks for being here. Oh, now it's bothering me from this side. I'm going to have to go sit by the creek over here. You guys mind if I do that? You guys okay? Boar humor, perhaps from Windhoek. Only point your leg, not the F one. Okay, got you, Carl. Great stuff. I just need to update my Social Security, okay? Who would replace RC? I have no idea. What's the intel on Hormuz ceasefire? Ceasefiring, keeping calm, and carry on. SEAL teams in. I don't know what's going on with that. That's conflicting reporting coming out today. That's why I didn't spend a lot of time talking about it. Your Church World Service, what happens to them now if they're being investigated? I don't know they're being investigated. I'm not talking about investigating RC. I'm talking about investigating the headquarters. That's what I'm talking about. Saw today Lesotho wants their money from South Africa for the Highland Water Project. Oh yeah, South Africa does buy a lot of water from Lesotho from the Highland Water Project. Yep. Charcoal and Briarwood, the planet must keep up. Colonel, could you check later email I sent you in the week for Connor question? I'll try. Who's that from? John Crew? Do you think it was wise for my husband to go back to H2A while we wait for approval? He's without work. That's a very hard question for me to answer. If you've gone through the program, you're waiting approval, there's no reason for it to stay there. He may have to fly back just to fly out. I mean, you know, so I don't think it's unwise, but I appreciate your conundrum. I hate to say it, it's quite a shock to see people actually working here in Massachusetts. Yesterday, we saw smoke in a building across from us. In 5 minutes, police as well as fire department arrived. Yep. Umbrella hats. All right, I'm going to move, folks, so just be patient with me, okay? All right, you'll be able to hear me as I do this, but my tripod, I'm going to have to move it because this is really driving me nuts. This heat's really getting bad. And, you know, I was freezing here a couple days ago. Remember that? It was ice cold out here. I had to wear a puffer jacket. Okay, so let's just move over to the shade over here. Oof, man, that sun was just cooking me. I got to find a spot over here that's safe to sit out of the sun. Maybe right here behind the tree. I can find a spot. Yeah, this is good. Okay, there you go. Now we're cooking. Okay, let me just lower this side a little bit here. There we go, so we get even. All right, cool beans. Now we're out of the sun. Yeah, they offer therapy. A lot of refugees are doing it. Yep, you can lose a kg of your weight if you trim your beard. I don't know about that. Told a detective today that if they come back for pipes again, that son and I are going to moor them. He giggled and said, fine, just call us after. Isn't it ironic that bodyguards from Mandela Stain are white guys? Of course. No, I know you can't make it up. Tertius Fostatus. Hey, Colonel, just joining. How are those FEMA tents looking there in the background? Well, as you can see, there are no FEMA tents here. This is not my home, not my property. You can see that's Yellow Breeches Creek, world famous trout fishing. And off in the distance in the background, which maybe you'll see, is the green fence line. That's the end of the installation. Come over this way. There's residential housing here for military families. See behind me there. So let's get back this way, okay? Not my house, no FEMA tents here. It looks like Ronaldo's live now. Okay, thank you for the 140 Rand super chat. Hit the like button. Okay, interesting. Why do we need to pay Lesotho? Because it's their water. You owe them for the water. And if it's the Gauteng government, they're pretty good at not paying their bills because they're deadbeats. How long are your medicals valid for after finishing TB treatment? It has nothing to do with TB treatment. It has to do with your medicals. They're good for 6 months after you do them. The TB treatment is separate from that. If you wind up having active TB, you have to get treated. And there's a period after that. There's a couple people who've gone through this. They told the time frame. I think it's 3 weeks or a month, but I'm not an expert on that, so don't hold me to it. Okay. Cranberry, thank you for 35 Rand. Chris, it took a year to sell my house. That's crazy, Henry. Well, then, yeah, well, I mean, look, if you're in Joburg, good luck with that. Selling a house is almost impossible. I mean, look, nobody wants to buy a house when you're going to have illegitimate land claims against it. That's just crazy. Why would you try to, buy a house when someone's going to claim it? Medical 6 months, 3 months, okay. Many people need to redo their medicals because it expired. Is that not wasted expenditure? Those medicals cost us a lot of money. Well, Mari, is it not wasted expenditure to bring a 60-some-year-old refugee to Iowa only for her to change her mind 3 weeks later and have her go back? The thousands of dollars, the thousands of dollars invested in doing her case, investigating it, interviewing her, doing medicals, and she chose to go home because she was homesick. She had Heimweh. That's probably a far bigger waste than the $200 per person we spend on refugees for medicals. Yeah, there's lots of money, but none of it's wasted. You can ask the family who has a child, a member of their family who went through the medicals. Their medicals expired. They were apoplectic. I said, be calm. It's going to be okay. They'll reschedule you. They rescheduled. They went through the interview or through the medical process again, and the child has cancer that developed in the last 6 months. That screening would not have been done had they left a couple weeks prior, before the medicals expired. When they come to America, they don't get the same level of medical screening that you get abroad. So that child could have come here and developed cancer to a point where no one knew what was happening and they could have died. It was a blessing in disguise that their medicals had expired and they got re-examined. So stop looking at it as a waste of money and look at it as people concerned about your welfare and your health. Also concerned about my welfare and health. We don't want you bringing communicable diseases here. So it's a necessary thing. And is it a waste of money? Well, it can't be helped. Some of you have very complicated backgrounds in the police, in the military. You've got a bad habit of saying things on social media that could get you in trouble. It takes time to investigate your case. And that's going to take more than 6 months. My background investigation for my top secret security clearance took almost 2 years the last time. But fortunately, I already had access, and so it wasn't rescinded. But, things take time, guys. So, I hear you about wasting money, but it's not your money to worry about. It's mine to worry about as a taxpayer. They will contact you if you need to reschedule medicals. 7 soccer players from Eritrea disappeared in South Africa and never made their flight. Well, shocker. There you go, illegal immigrants. Moinui, yes, it's to make sure our details are captured. You can apply earlier, but no guarantee. Okay, I'm not sure what that was about. Glad you found a food spot. A food spot? What are you talking about? We're going back, HCA not making issues our case. I don't, Tyler, if your case is already in progress, I don't know. You should ask that question. Why you guys ask me this question after you already in an interview? I don't understand. If you have some of these questions and you get called for an interview, why aren't you asking these questions of USCIS? They're the immigration experts. They're the ones that make the adjudication decision. To me, it wouldn't be an issue. The only thing for me is that because the program requires you to become South African, I would have forced you to go back to South Africa. Your visa gets canceled. You get the tourist when, or not tourist, you get the refugee when you come in through that process. That's the only thing I would do if I was in charge, but I'm not in charge. You're welcome for the updates. Time for a cold beer. Spoke of 50% tariffs in countries supplying around with weapons. Does that include South Africa? Yeah, it would, Meerkat. It would. And if they have been supplying weapons, I think the lady are, if suddenly South Africa gets 50%, people are like, what is this? And I'll just say one thing. Lady R. Ask Ruben Briggity. Yeah, there's no toilet paper in the creek. There's also no feces in the creek. There are rainbow trout in here. There are fish in here. Yep, there goes a couple of them right there. Yep. And the water here is moving pretty rapidly. It's beautiful. This is all, of course, man-made, redirecting the creek here. It becomes, it winds up in the Susquehanna River at some point. But Yellow Breeches Creek is world famous and world renowned. And there's a guy who's been coming along here fishing in this little section the past few days. Yep. No, it's pretty cool. This is what happens when you have a place that works and people take care of things and they care about where they live instead of just shitting in their backyard. Francois Ferreira, thank you for the 14 Rand. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing okay. Thanks for checking in. Lion, beer, and chainsaw seems to be most fun. What's that? Was very undecided about wanting to go at my older age, but received the first call. At the moment, I'm not going to stress myself about traveling time, even if it's next year. Well, thank you. Is it Mike Gregory? Well, look, again, I'm not here to encourage anybody to come. If everybody leaves South Africa, who am I going to visit? If you all come here, who am I going to visit? Only a small number of you left, about 4,800 so far. But yeah, don't stress about age. You know, that lady went back because her other family, the rest of her family didn't come over. They had linked cases, they didn't come over, and she was feeling lonely. Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to criticize the lady, but that is a bit selfish. What exactly did you expect? I mean, you know, nothing against Ruben, and I'm not attacking Ruben because it was a great interview this morning, but this is just a general statement for y'all. What the hell are y'all expecting if you're coming over as refugees? Do you expect that everybody's going to do everything in your time? This is not an immigration program. It happens when it happens, and it happens in the fashion that it happens. So if you come over here and cases linked to you don't come to you, well, they'll come here eventually. But if you have a case like Utopia and his daughter where they had a linked case and he wound up in San Diego and she wound up in Iowa, you got a beef there. What was the point of allowing the case to be linked if you don't wind up in the same location? If you don't come at the same time, that's, you know, whatever. But this lady chose to go back, and, you know, it's a waste of resources. And people worried about wasted medical. We pay a couple $100 doing medical. We spent thousands of dollars on labor and thousands of dollars to get that woman over here and get her set up. And we paid a refugee agency to get her, you know, into a place. And she just went back. She didn't even make an effort. She made no effort whatsoever. All that does is completely undermine the credibility. And again, I guess I am criticizing her because it's unbelievably selfish. It's unbelievably selfish. It really is. I've moved around the world my entire life, lived in 16 countries. And I can't fathom that someone doing that. If you even had an inkling that was going to be the case, why did you ever leave? Why did you ever leave? It doesn't make any sense to me. Regards, that lady that went back, is there info on whether her family were denied? No, no information on that. I have no idea. By the way, where does Black Label come from? Carling, a Canadian brewing company. Stop harping on about the requirements of the program. Just do what's asked of you. Your stress levels will subside. Exactly. When they call you, do what they ask. Malema sentencing next week. Yeah, well, I'm going to be working, although it's going to be early in the morning. So if I'm not too tired, I'll get up and cover it. Ronaldo will be covering it. So if I'm not covering it, you certainly won't catch Ronaldo. But I'll try to cover it. My daughter just sent me a voice note. Bad tummy, cramps, and vomiting. They're not close to shops. Will Target sell something for that? No, that's fine off Target, Loretta. Okay, so stomach ache, cramps, and vomiting. That could be a combination of things. I don't know if she's got a virus and the flu. But for the vomiting, you can pick something up over the counter at Target or at a CVS or Walgreens or something like that. Your better option is you can go to either one of those and find it. But yeah, you can find something for that. Those symptoms are very, very broad, so I'm not sure what to go with there. So let's see what else. I'm not the only one that's got a jump in their step, but I think that gentleman's got an artificial limb. Yeah, he's walking with an artificial limb. Probably somebody lost it in combat. They're not close to the shops. Okay, well, I mean, why are you asking me that if they're not close to the shops? You know, lots of places sell over-the-counter medication. Yep. So what I suggest is for her, and you shouldn't do self-diagnosis, but this is an easy one. Go into Google, stomach cramps, vomiting, whatever. What's a good over-the-counter medication to combat that? And it'll give you a good idea. Worried about the riots and violence if he's found guilty. I'm not worried about the riots and violence. He's already guilty. What do you mean if he's found guilty? He's guilty. He's guilty. This is his sentencing. Julius Malema is a convicted felon. This is his sentencing. Fishing rod. Okay, I gotcha. A top secret clearance at Foreign Affairs with all my podcast and social network comments. Case officer will be so confused and send me to the reorientation camp. No, they won't put your reorientation camp at Langley. No, that's the headquarters. They'll take you to a rendition site in Syria. For some perspective, Arms Corps had $30 billion in contracts in 2009. Yeah, not today. Only $550 million in defense sales total last year. Church World Service document you get mail with first interview states clearly process cake up. Yeah, I thank you, Spook. I appreciate that. I mean, so again, people hear what they want to hear. Oh, be prepared to leave in 2 to 4 weeks. Oh, that means I'm leaving. No, it doesn't. I was promised. You weren't promised anything. You weren't promised anything. If I hadn't covered benefits, who would even know what benefits and entitlements you have? I mean, how many people would have thought to go when you go, okay, so what do I get? Do you pay my rent? Would I pay for my flight? You know, people wouldn't even know. So this nonsense about I was promised this, and I'm getting this all the time. Oh, this is unfair. It's not unfair. It's life. It's life. I mean, most people are not refugees in country, except the Cubans and the Bosnians. and now South Africans. Most people, and to other countries, most people have fled to other countries, living in tents and crap holes. They're just grateful to get out. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have questions, but it's this nonsense about you were promised. You weren't promised anything. Nobody promised you anything. I never promised you a rose garden, nor did the U.S. government. I do not see fish in our creek. Ugh, let's see, cholera. Ugh. Okay, everything happens for a reason. Yep. I'm here. It's such a blessing. America's working wonderful. It's clean. Well, thank you, Herman Lowe. Glad to hear that. Hey, thanks for popping in, Rikus. Black Label. Do a podcast myself. I would call it Boss TV. Okay, all right. Are you a doctor now? Sure, why not? That's not funny at all. Walgreens sells cigarettes, not at all. They also sell, nicotine patches. They sell what people need. Can't be any worse in East London. I want lots of benefits like a job and the opportunity to live in freedom. So just can't wait to get there. Within a month, I'll be working and repaying my flight ticket. You don't have to repay your flight ticket for 6 months. Take advantage of that. You need to sequester every penny you have when you get here because you may need it for rent. You may need it for necessities. Don't worry about repaying your loan back. You're not expected to pay it back until 6 months after you arrive. And only then do they set a low amount and you pay it back over time, which builds your credit history. So don't look a gift horse in the mouth. It's an interest-free loan. And you don't have to pay it back when you get here because you should be focused on getting established and being successful. So don't worry about paying it back. You're not going to pay it back within a month. That's not a good idea. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden. Exactly. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine. It's got to be a little rain sometimes. How can Malema still have any role and part in government? Well, exactly. How can he sit on the Judicial Services Commission selecting judges when he's a convicted felon? This shows you how, how illegitimate the government of South Africa is. Vacations should be explained in orientation. Yes, it should be. But all these people who are saying, I was promised all this, no one promised you anything. It's like playing lotto and asking, when will I win? Applying the program is taking a chance, not a guarantee. Thank you, Meerkat. That's well stated. Carling Black Label is not English beer. It's a Canadian beer. I don't know what Black Label is, but Carling Black Label is a Canadian beer. It's amazing that so many people are already in the USA. If you think about it, there were more people in the USA as refugees now than the whole population of Orania. Oh, yeah. Nearly twice the population of Orania live in the USA as refugees. Well, not twice. But yeah, 150% at least. Just a bit info. My ticket was $1,200. Pay back $35 after 6 months. $35 per month after 6 months, Herman. Yep. Americaner says, afternoon, I'm Chris. After being under review for months this week, our case changed back to ready for departure. Excited in the great states of America. Well, I'm happy for you. Wait till you get your tickets before you get too excited. Yeah, that song is stuck in you. It's an earworm now, huh? What, you planning to come back to South Africa? Is that a question or a statement, Andre? Are you asking me a question? Am I planning to come back to South Africa? I always plan to come back to South Africa, but I'm being threatened by nasty people. So that's not something that I discuss. It's nobody's business. If I do get back to South Africa, you'll find out when I'm in South Africa. Tricia for USA people to thank soldiers for their service or veteran. Curious to what to do if I bump into a veteran one day. Or soldier seems like a normal thing. Yeah, but you don't do it on a military base. And it's not a tradition. It's something that's sprung up in the last 20 years. It may have been going on before that, but I have been in the Army from 1983 until 2019. I lived mostly overseas, but I did do training and come back in the States. I was here occasionally. I was never once thanked by anybody in my life for my military service until after 9/11. By that point, I've been in the Army for 18 years. And that was the first time anyone said, thank you for your service. No one needs to thank me for my service. I appreciate if they do. It's very considerate and kind of them. I appreciate that. But no one's required to do it. It is a nice thing and is becoming a tradition. But the problem I have with that is a lot of people do it because it's expected of them. They don't really understand what they're thanking people for or the sacrifices that soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen go through each and every day, the risk they put themselves in. But we're not alone. First responders, law enforcement officers, These people also put their lives on the line every single day. Firemen, EMTs, so they put their lives on the line every single day. Whereas, fortunately for us, it's during deployments normally. Is that Debbie Fox or Debbie Ackerman who did that? Somebody just gave 350 rand. Usually you're off base and you're in civilian clothes, or somebody recognizes a veteran. Like I go through the airports, I wear my Enduring Freedom hat, and people thank me for my service, and I thank them. It's very polite of them. It's a nice thing. It's a nice thing. But it wasn't always like that. When soldiers who were draftees came back from Vietnam, they were spit upon, true story, had things thrown at them in airports. It was disgraceful, the conduct of this country back then. Yeah, so I hope that helps, Longman. Trump just gave Iran another stern warning. Well, yeah, Alex, they're gonna start saying taco again if he doesn't do something. So ignore that hater if you were, Colonel. No, he's not bluffing, Broken Arrow. He doesn't have any influence where he claims to, and he's committing crimes. But, whether he's responsible for Nas Bota no longer doing the rugby analysis with me during the Rugby World Cup in 2023 or not, he claimed credit for it. And the reality is it did happen. Nas Bota said we can't do it anymore. And it ruined a very wonderful experience for people all over the world. Hundreds of thousands of people came across my channel because I had Nas Bota on it, and we had the best analysis. Going over the program is not a free ticket. It's not a handout. You need to do your part, exactly. I think I will be a snowbird, tourism visa, and hang in the USA for 3 months. They're safe 3 months, the rest is Southeast Asia. Well, that's one way to do it. That was Carl von Blair. Hey, Carl. Thanks again for your work, caring for South Africans, taking the brave route to the USA, the food stock guy. Hey, Carl von Blair there, folks. Thanks, by the way, for the folks who've given donations. We've raised, Carl, what's the current figure? Over 50,000 rand to feed South Africans whose tickets were canceled. So I haven't heard from anybody recently, but we've helped a lot of South Africans out. Again, when I reached out to Carl, I didn't even finish the sentence. He said yes. He said yes. And people denigrated him and denigrated his product. And they're shameful, nasty people. And I hope people like that never come to America. The woman that did that in that closed group. And then they shut down Carl in that group when he commented because he was not happy with what they said. They undermined his business by lying about Carl. And you're claiming that, he was doing this making money off people. He wasn't making money off people. His organization gave up 15,000 rand before I even approached him and said, hey, can we get your banking details? Maybe we can raise some money to offset the cost. And he never asked for money. Never asked for money. And every time I give Carl the name of somebody with their contact information, he contacts them almost immediately. And I send message any time of day. The guy is a rock star. And anybody that speaks bad of food stocks needs to answer to me, okay? Thank you for 350 rand, Carl. Quick, you get a job. That's what they want you to do, yep. This army, we saluted pregnant women. They might be carrying the next president. Andrea says, I hope to see you soon in South Africa. Well, Andrea, yeah, where at? Let me know. I mean, if I do meet and greets, I'll have to let you know. Wonder what will happen if John Boy wants refugee status. Sorry to be negative, but oh my goodness, I felt physically ill when Mr. Bozell bowed to Ramaphosa. No, that's just diplomatic protocol sort of thing. Look, I mean, this is the whole thing when these racists in the media start attacking Bozell and the racist garbage and bile coming out of the mouth of Fikile Mbulula. He spewed this racial hatred coming out of his mouth, complaining about, Bozell claiming him calling him an unrepentant racist. Yet no action was taken against Fikile Mbulula, who should have been suspended and kicked out of the African National Congress as the Secretary General, saying such unfounded garbage, racial hatred and bile. So Peter Bruce this morning in his op-ed forgets all this stuff. He allows South African racists to spew hatred against American politicians and American officials with no consequences and calls Trump all kinds of names. Anyway, yeah, so no, that's just diplomatic protocol. So all this nonsense attacking him, calling him unrepentant racist because in 1987 he signed a letter telling the Secretary of State, George Shultz, he shouldn't be meeting with a designated terrorist group. Screw these race hustlers. They're a bunch of idiots. Issues with agency in Florida, feel free to contact me. We have volunteer groups all over Florida. Says, well, I mean, if you have issues with agencies in Florida, you should be contacting the Office of Refugee Resettlement. I've already given that information. Watch the video. I've given the email address. I've told you how to format it, send it to them, and you should CC me on that. If they want to help, that's fine, but you're going to get more of a response immediately from ORR now. If the worst that should happen, do the liberals really think they'll be safe because they're named? No, they won't be. You're in Cape Town. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, well, I get to Cape Town all the time. I even go east of Cape Town to Brockenfell, which is not north of Cape Town. You may consider it in the northern suburbs, but it's not north of Cape Town. Just saying. If Fikele's to choose one, he's single-handedly destroying the ANC. He's definitely destroying the ANC, but Panyaza Lesufi is going to make that play for that role. Mashatili isn't going to get it. Sign up to call for his attention, 80,000. What's this? Put the sign up to call for Colonel for attention, 80,000. Have we raised 80,000? I didn't see Carl respond. Is it 80,000 now? Okay, I didn't see that. Wow. Wow. Now, to be fair, oh, there it is, 80,000, amazing army. Yeah, no, we have a great army. Look, the Wyatt Army has responded when people were stranded. The Wyatt Army has responded when people were in need. The Wyatt Army has done so much for so many people. We're not even a charity. We're not even an NGO. We're just a group of like-minded people who believe in the truth and objective analysis and entertainment and laughs and hugs and smiles. That's who we are, and people help each other. They do. And it's my distinct pleasure to be the guy that is here that started all this. And the name came from the brew, who sadly passed away from the COVID scam back in 2020. But he's the guy that named it the Wyatt Army. And I was kind of shy about that at first, but now I embrace it. Because it is an army. We mobilize like an army, and we help people like an army. We make things happen like an army. Whether it's someone trapped or abandoned in an airport, or people left to their own devices in Frankfurt with no information, no food, no contact, no one told the States where they're going, or it's people who call me 87 times in the dark of night because they're terrified in Utica, New York, or all the other things, even, you know, the little things, I mean, that I do personally that I consider part of the Wyatt Army, like Loretta got to go see Steve Hofmeyer, bought her a ticket. We do these things because we care. We do these things because people matter. We do these things because we don't see black, white, and brown. We see human beings. It doesn't matter how dead sexy you are or hideous looking. We're here to help. All right, there you go. Weber, okay. Oh, Sam's Club, yeah, it's crazy. Do you sell a food stock pack whereby one can taste your flavors? Or they have to just buy them singly? Charles, that's a good question. Carl, if you're still here, can you answer Charles' question? Because I don't know about how food stock sells this stuff. You can get it through resellers. You can buy it online. Yeah, but that's a good question. Good question for Carl. All right, let's get that up on there. Finding a lost rugby ball. Yeah, well, that was the Army. They did that for me. Yep. Oh, well, I had an abandoned rugby ball. I left mine. All alone in Texas. No one, and I'm happy. Never going to get persecuted, says Broken Arrow. But you're in Plano, aren't you? I think you're in Plano. All right, 281 people are still here, and I'm cutting into other people's broadcast time. So I'm going to wrap it up here, folks, in just a moment. Be sure to hit that like button. 271 of you have done it, so at least 9 of you are negligent, probably a lot more that haven't pushed it during the course of this broadcast. Hit the refugee button. Hit the like button. And this is my last day this week. Next week, I'll be in business suits with ties and a jacket all week as we do the program next week. And then I'm free, and I'm next weekend going to Pittsburgh, Columbus, Cleveland, and Erie. And then the weekend after that, it's off to Virginia. So effective because our leader sets a moral example. Thank you so much for that. Plano's my new home. Yeah. By the way, folks, for those who didn't catch it last night, I was reelected to be the commander of the local Veterans of Foreign Wars post. So that will be my 4th year entering. This will be my 4th year, which I've been elected, and installation is in June, or next month, but then it takes active in June. So yeah, so not that I was seeking it, but I was reelected, and my officers were all reelected unanimously. So cool beans. Thanks, guys. I'm going to wrap it up here. Be sure to hit that like button. Now we got more likes and viewers. That's good. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks to Carl van Blerk for all your support at Food Socks. If you are a person who has had their ticket pulled from them, or you're even now, I think we've dealt with all the people whose tickets were canceled. If there are people who are refugee aspirants who have gone through a certain process and they're in a bind, send me an email. Tell me that. Put need food assistance in there. Now, we're not going to feed South Africa, but we can use some that might help some of these people, okay? All right, guys. Cheers. Take care. Catch you later.